Why does the Middle East never see peace? Is it because of religion? Or is there something much darker happening behind the scenes? For decades, this region has been at the center of wars, power struggles, and global attention. Countries like Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the involvement of the United States have turned this land into a battlefield of influence. But what if I told you peace was never the real goal? In this video, we're going to uncover the real reasons why the Middle East remains in constant conflict and why true peace might be more complicated than you think. The Middle East. The Middle East, a region rich in history, culture, and resources, yet constantly surrounded by conflict. From ancient civilizations to modern superpower rivalries, this land has always held global importance. But today, it is known for something else: instability. Nations like Iran and Saudi Arabia are locked in a silent battle for dominance, while global powers like the United States continue to shape the region's future from behind the scenes. And then there are conflicts that never seem to end, like the long-standing tensions between Israel and Palestine. But here's the real question: is the Middle East naturally unstable, or has it been designed to stay this way? To understand the truth, we need to go back in time and uncover how it all began. To understand why the Middle East struggles with peace today, we have to go back over 100 years before modern borders existed. Much of this region was controlled by the powerful Ottoman Empire, a vast empire that ruled for centuries, keeping different cultures and religions under one system. But everything changed after World War I. As the empire collapsed, Western powers stepped in behind closed doors. Countries like United Kingdom and France secretly drew new borders across the Middle East, with little regard for ethnic groups, tribes, or religious differences. One of the most important agreements was the Sykes-Picot Agreement, a deal that divided the region into zones of control. But these borders were artificial. They forced rival communities into the same countries and split others apart. The result? A region filled with tension, waiting to explode. Over time, these divisions turned into conflicts that grew stronger with every decade. New nations were formed, but unity was weak. Power struggles began, leaders rose and fell, and external powers kept interfering. And then came one of the most defining moments in modern history: the creation of Israel in 1948. A decision that sparked immediate war with neighboring Arab states and ignited a conflict that still burns today. Since then, wars, revolutions, and political instability have shaped the Middle East again and again. And the truth is, these conflicts didn't start overnight. They were built step by step through history, decisions, and power struggles, leaving behind a region where peace was never easy and maybe never meant to be. Not all conflicts in the Middle East are about land or power. Some go much deeper, into belief, identity, and history. One of the biggest divisions in the Muslim world is between Sunni and Shia, a split that began over 1,400 years ago. After the death of Prophet Muhammad, the question was simple: who should lead the Muslim community? One group believed the leader should be chosen, while the other believed leadership should stay within the Prophet's family. This disagreement created two major branches, Sunni and Shia. Over time, this division wasn't just religious anymore. It became political, powerful, and sometimes violent. Today, this divide shapes alliances and rivalries across the Middle East. For example, Iran is a Shia majority country, while Saudi Arabia is a Sunni majority power. And their rivalry isn't just about religion. It's about influence, control, and dominance in the region. From Iraq to Yemen, this divide has fueled proxy wars, political instability, and deep mistrust. But here's the reality: religion alone is not the cause of conflict. It's often used as a tool, a way to unite people on one side and divide them from the other. And when belief mixes with power, the result is something far more dangerous. A conflict that is not just fought on the battlefield, but inside people's identities, making peace even harder to achieve. What if I told you one of the biggest reasons behind Middle East conflicts isn't religion, it's oil? The Middle East holds some of the largest oil reserves in the world, making it one of the most valuable regions on Earth. Countries like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Iran sit on vast oceans of oil, fueling economies and powering nations across the globe. But with great resources comes great attention. Global powers, especially the United States, have long had strategic interests in the region, not just for stability, but for control, because whoever influences the Middle East can influence the world's energy supply, and that means power. Over the years, alliances were formed, wars were fought, and governments were supported or removed, all in the name of security, but often driven by deeper economic interests. Oil turned the region into a global chessboard where every move matters, and every conflict has consequences far beyond its borders. But here's the truth: as long as the Middle East remains rich in resources, it will never be free from global attention. And where there is power, there will always be competition, making peace not just a regional issue, but a global one. The Middle East is not just shaped by its own people, but by powerful nations from outside the region. For decades, global powers have played a major role here, especially the United States. From military interventions to political influence, foreign involvement has deeply impacted the region's stability. Wars in countries like Iraq and Afghanistan changed governments, but also left behind chaos, instability, and long-term consequences. But it's not just about direct wars. Sometimes influence comes quietly through alliances, funding, and support for certain governments or groups. Global powers shape outcomes without ever appearing on the battlefield. At the same time, countries like Russia have also stepped in, supporting allies and expanding their own influence in the region. The result? The Middle East becomes more than just a region. It becomes a battlefield of global interests, where local conflicts are amplified and peace becomes harder to achieve. Because when multiple powerful nations are involved, each with their own goals, peace is no longer just about ending war. It becomes a question of power, control, and influence. And as long as these external forces remain active, true stability will always be out of reach. One of the longest and most painful conflicts in the Middle East is between Israel and Palestine, a conflict not just over land, but over identity, history, and survival. It all goes back to 1948, when the State of Israel was created. For Jewish people, it was the realization of a long-awaited homeland. But for many Palestinians, it marked the beginning of displacement, loss, and uncertainty. War broke out almost immediately, and since then, tensions have never truly disappeared. Over the decades, there have been clashes, uprisings, and military operations, each leaving behind pain, destruction, and unanswered questions. Both sides carry deep historical wounds, and both see themselves as fighting for their rights. But the conflict doesn't exist in isolation. It influences the entire Middle East, shaping alliances, fueling anger, and keeping the region on edge. Peace talks have happened, agreements have been proposed, but lasting peace has remained out of reach because the issues are complex and the emotions run deep. And in the middle of all this are ordinary people living in fear, hoping for a future without conflict, a future that, for now, still feels uncertain. While global powers and historical conflicts shape the Middle East, many of its struggles also come from within. In several countries, political instability, leadership struggles, and weak institutions have slowed progress for decades. Power often changes hands suddenly, sometimes through revolutions, sometimes through conflict, and sometimes through pressure from outside forces. Nations like Iraq, Syria, and Yemen have faced years of internal war and division, leaving their societies deeply affected. And in the middle of all this,